Well, Detroit does walk out of Tampa with a win, but they drop the series due to some cracks starting to become apparent on the pitching side of things. We'll talk about that and so much more. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome in, welcome all. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a fantastic and safe weekend. I mean, it was hot, and that's like not going away either. It looks like at least the first half of this week in the Detroit area is going to be steamy as well. So hope everyone stays cool and stays safe. The Rays offense was hot this weekend. It's a pro right there. I guess until Sunday. So 2 of the 3 games. And I think that is kind of what, so the Tigers dropped the series. I guess I'll do my normal spiel here before I get into first thought. Goodness. Tigers lose 2 of 3 to Tampa in Tampa. They lose game 1, 14-8, game 2, 8-3, and then win the third game in the finale by a score of 9-3. The Tigers are now 49-30 on the season. That is still the best record in the entire game of baseball. The Rays improved to 43-35 after this series win. So yeah, my first thought is that the Rays, for starters, are on an absolute heater. They are like, I'm glad to walk out of Sunday with a win from the Tigers' perspective. That was a really well played ball game. We'll talk plenty about that when we talk about what went right. But the first 2 were really brutal. There's really no way around it. I think the Rays exposed a trend recently for Detroit of pitching not being, absolutely dominant like it was the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season. And look, again, like the Rays are good. That is a good baseball team. That has been legitimately one of, if not just straight up the best team in baseball over the last month. That's a really good pitching staff with a lot of nasty stuff. It's a really good bullpen with a lot of velo and nasty stuff. And it's a solid lineup. There's a lot of young talent in that organization and in that lineup as well. And they lit up the Tigers like a Christmas tree this weekend, especially, again, obviously in the first 2 games. Starters, relievers, didn't really matter, that they were all over everything. I'm glad that the broadcast, our broadcast is just magnificent and beautiful and awesome. But I really was impressed with how much focus they gave Yandy Diaz. That is legitimately one of the most underrated hitters in all of baseball. He has, like hard hit rates and exit velocities that are up there with like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. Like he is an exceptional talent. He just doesn't really lift the baseball a ton. Now, he homered this weekend, obviously, but he doesn't consistently lift the ball. So it's a lot of, more putting the ball in play really hard, getting, singles and doubles and everything. He is very productive. And there's a reason he hits leadoff for that team and has been a fixture in the lineup for the last couple of years. And yeah, and obviously it wasn't just him. It was everyone really on the Rays offense in those first 2 games. So like the Tigers still have the best record in ball. They lost a series, didn't get swept. They lost 2 games to a really good team. And as I say all the time, they will lose another series at some point this year. I hate to break it to you. But I also think that it is fair to acknowledge the fact that the Rays kind of put a giant magnifying glass on the areas that the Tigers need to improve on at the deadline. You know what I mean? Like, both can be true. You can acknowledge the Tigers are good. They're playing really good baseball. They're the best record in all of baseball. But obviously there's always areas to improve. Nobody's going to go 162-0. So what went wrong? Let's start with just the pitching. Kind of break that down a little bit further here. 25 runs in 3 games is really not great. It started with Jack Flaherty on Friday night. His ERA has now ballooned up to 4.83. So a couple of things with this outing. One was he had no clue where the ball was going again. And I've said that I want to say it was his most recent start prior to this one. If it wasn't that one, it was the one right before. I said this in a start of his very recently, where like he legitimately, his command was brutal. And that's not like slander, or like, I'm sure he would tell you the same thing. He had no clue where he didn't have a feel for anything, right? Like sometimes you'll see, oh, like I just didn't have a feel for the slider today, or didn't have a feel for, the fastball today or whatever. No, it was everything he threw. He had no clue where any pitch he threw was going. And I think the most frustrating moment in that outing for me from, my couch was there was a play toward the end, right before he got pulled, where the ball came in, hit third base, bounced over Colt Keith's head, and then the runner on third just scurried home because the catcher had to go get the ball. The catcher had to go get the ball because Jack Flaherty was not in his correct position. It is one thing to not have a feel for your pitches, okay? That happens all the time. That is the beauty and the beast of the game of baseball, right? But you can always be in the position you're supposed to be in. And I think that was just kind of like frustration from his end kind of boiling over. He's the guy that's supposed to be backing up third and on the, high up on the third baseline, ready for that type of thing. And he just wasn't. He was just standing in front of pitcher's mound. I guess a little bit closer to home plate, but like the point remains. So I think that this was just a really frustrating outing for him in general. And it's something that obviously we need to continue to keep an eye out for, because outside of, 4 or 5 starts this year, like we have a big enough sample size of him struggling where I think it's legitimately a cause for concern. So we'll see what happens going forward with that. It certainly was not all just frustration from Jack Flaherty. However, this bullpen did not do much good this weekend either. Hernandez gets his second outing as a Tiger. This one not nearly as fun and exciting as the first outing. Brutal command as well. Gives up a couple of runs. Really was spraying the ball all over the place. Walked the batter. And that's the reason why his ERA is what it is, despite the fact that he can throw 100. Is like he does that kind of consistently. So we'll see if the Tigers are able to make some adjustments with him going forward and maybe get the most out of him, get the best out of him. But some very reminiscent of a lot of his Royals career for sure. Brennan Hannafy this weekend also kind of had command all over the place. Still can't miss bats. We know that kind of comes with the territory. But when he can locate the ball, he can at least still keep it on the ground. And I feel like, especially on Friday, he certainly wasn't doing that. Let's talk about Brant Herter, who had a rough weekend as well. Wasn't all his fault, though. Okay, we'll talk about that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats that help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, as you all know by now, I love the no shells variety. Is the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, well, the in-shell options are a classic favorite too. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, be back tomorrow with another off day episode. Got plenty of stuff happening in the organization this time of year to fill an off day show. So I will see you then. Today, though, we talk about this series loss to the Tampa Bay Rays. Tigers lose game 1 and 2, salvage the series a little bit in the finale. Brant Herter pitched twice this weekend, neither very effective. And this is going to shock you, and it's going to sound very familiar. Again, just had no clue where the ball was going, man. Like, and his wasn't as dramatic as Jack Flaherty's was, but he was missing command with pretty much all of his pitches, especially the fastball. My goodness, the entire weekend. He could not hit a spot with his fastball in either outing. And Friday, to be fair to him, if Jake Rogers can catch a baseball, that probably looks way different. And that's unbelievably frustrating because I have obviously pumped the tires of Jake Rogers' defense for a couple of years now. The offense has not been very good whatsoever so far in 2025. I guess the last couple of weeks, maybe it's been slightly better, but like not enough to really change anybody's opinion on his bat. The 9-hitter every time he's in the lineup. And I think we're all kind of in lockstep with the decision of Dylan Dingler being the 1A catcher going forward. That being said, Jake Rogers has a role on the team, even with his poor offensive performance, if he continues to be really solid defensively and a good, leader and game caller. So stuff like that just can't happen because that's where all of his value kind of lies, is defensively. And to walk out of that first inning with 4 unearned runs is really brutal. So I don't know. Everybody always looks for like one person at fault in like every situation in the world, but that's a whole different thing, especially in baseball. And I feel like, there was a big argument about like, oh, was that inning Jake Rogers' fault or Brant Herter's fault? Yes, dude. Brant Herter couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, and Jake Rogers couldn't catch a baseball. Like they're both. Yes. So, and then Herter goes back out there on Sunday with an 8-run lead in the 9th inning, loads the bases, can't get anybody out, and they got to burn another starting pitcher just to ensure the victory. So, obviously that's something. He's been so good this year. Brant Herter, that has been so good this year that I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and kind of chalk it up to just a rough last week or whatever, right? But I think that is obviously something we need to keep an eye out for, because if his command goes, then that, the bullpen is already getting thinner in terms of production. We don't need a guy who a week ago had a sub-2 ERA to blow up either. So we'll keep an eye on that. Sawyer Gipson-Long, 6 innings, 6 1/3 technically, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, and 3 home runs against. He just hung a lot of pitches. I still love the stuff. Like his changeup is so good. I think it's one of the best pitches in the organization. His fastball is lively enough to kind of pair well with it. I love his stuff. He's still, I think, just working back from injury. Like I think there's a lot of impatience with that in terms of a portion of the fan base, right? Like Sawyer Gipson-Long didn't pitch in Major League Baseball for like 600 days. Parker Meadows, he got off to kind of a slow start, hit a home run on Sunday, which is nice to see, has gotten off to a slow start since coming back from the injured list. Didn't play in most, if not all, of spring training, and, just got back from the injured list a week and a half ago. Like, it takes time. Hitting a baseball and playing Major League Baseball is very difficult. It takes time to get reacclimated. And I like the progression I've seen from Sawyer Gipson-Long, even if it hasn't been perfect. Really the thing that just bit him in this one was just, again, like he just hung a lot of pitches. The stuff that he was able to keep down was really effective. All the stuff at the knees and lower was really effective for him. But there was just a lot, halfway up the thigh as well that just got absolutely blasted. And then Kerry Carpenter. We'll move on from the pitching. Subject change. Still what went wrong. Offensive side of the ball. It's kind of weird because the offense really wasn't terrible this weekend. They put up 8 on Friday. They put up 9 on Sunday and like 3 runs on Saturday, especially again sandwiched in between an 8 and a 9. Really isn't that bad. Like you'll take that level of offensive production pretty much every time you you start a 3-game set. I think you take it at 100% of the time. So like this really wasn't a weak offensive weekend for Detroit, but Kerry Carpenter I think continues to just look. I don't know how else to describe it other than just lost at the plate, man. Like he still swings at everything at his eyes, and that's like a huge issue. He either swings and misses or he pops it up. And then like he's taking balls over the heart of the plate just to like take pitches. And I think the wildest part of it is like he is struggling to walk in any capacity, so much so that even when I think twice this weekend, he was in a 3-ball count, like 3-0. At least one of them was a 3-0 count. And the pitcher just worked back through 3 pitches in the zone and it was over and he struck out. Like he is really fighting it up there. His season stats are now down to 246 average and a 729 OPS. This may shock you because we've played the OPS game a lot over the years, right? That 729 OPS is, I'm not exaggerating, one of the lowest among the starting lineup on Sunday. Like seriously, that is one of the low. Like Kerry Carpenter has one of the lowest OPSs in the entire lineup of like regulars, which is telling, I think. So some adjustments need to be made. That they're convinced that he is fine, like his legs are fine, and the injury isn't bothering him. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'll trust the professionals there, but we'll see how the next couple of weeks continue to unfold because he has really been fighting it for a while now. What went right this weekend? Riley Greene. Riley Greene was unbelievable. That like I'm not kidding. That's one of the best 3-game series performances you will see by a position player. Well, like end of sentence, like period. That was unbelievable. Okay. On Friday, he goes 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 2 home runs. On Saturday, I guess he goes 0 for 3, but he does get a walk. He still gets on base. On Sunday, he goes 3 for 4 with like half a dozen, it felt like, diving plays out in left field. The strikeout numbers are dropping. The walk numbers are raising. He's hitting 291 with an 875 OPS on the season. And it was tweeted out by a couple of different people over the weekend. Since the middle of March, his OPS is in the mid 900s. It's like 930 something. There's a reason he has the most votes by an American League outfielder not named Aaron Judge. It's because he's really good at baseball. And this is why during the cold stretches earlier in the year, we tried to preach patience on here. When this dude is right, he is an absolute difference maker in really every facet of the game. And he had an unbelievable weekend. So tip of the cap to Riley Greene, soon to be announced as an all-star, I'm sure. And he is, as that trend continues where he strikes out less lately and he was walking more. If that keeps going and you keep getting, the graph and the lines moving in opposite directions there, you're talking about a guy that really could establish himself as one of the better outfielders in baseball. And that's really exciting. As he, already kind of has taken strides in that. And it's really still only, like 23, 24? Unbelievable. Let's talk Colt Keith. I thought he had a pretty solid weekend. We'll talk Casey Mize, Winsel Perez, and then some news and notes stuff as well at the end of the show. We'll do all of that right after this. First, though, got to talk to y'all about our friends Over at FanDuel, summer sports are in full swing, whether you're into baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action. FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? Okay. With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned on the beach, like me last week. Okay. I'm peeling. It's gross. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps fresh, up-to-date news with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It is truly the best in the business. So whether it's a same game parlay or I'm watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I am a part of the action firsthand. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. So Colt Keith, I thought, had a pretty solid weekend. Had a homer on, a garbage time homer, but a homer no less on Friday. Got on base a couple of times on Saturday. Had a couple of nice plays defensively at first base on Friday as well. Played third base too on Sunday. And yeah, I don't know. The bar, I guess, maybe is low, but I don't think he looks horrible. He booted a ball this weekend, but over at third. But I don't think I have yet to watch him at third and be like, wow, this dude's an absolute liability. So to me, that's like the bar. I'm not asking for prime Arenado over there, man. Like if you can just be serviceable and continue hitting the way he's been hitting, then we're gonna have a great time. Okay. Winfield Perez, 2 for 4 on Sunday with a big home. Well, 2 for 4. Yeah, 2 for 4 on Sunday with a big home run. Had a hit on Saturday as well. I think that home run was also as a right-handed hitter. It was off to a lefty pitcher, which is something I've talked about a lot on this show. We are probably to the point where it's fair to be like, hey, can we get this dude in the lineup every single night? He's unbelievable. He has such professional at bats. He is kind of the perfect balance right now, at least, between I don't know, like how hitting coaches try to describe like being aggressively passive, right? Like you want to be aggressive, but you also want to take your walks and not take pitches that are hittable, and also not swing at and chase at pitches way out of the zone. Like he kind of epitomizes that really well. He's never going to be, a super high walk total guy, but if he's around league average and does damage on the balls that are in the plate, he's going to be a really good hitter and continue to produce. And being that pure switch hitter in an AJ Hinch system is just so valuable, as we talked about last week. So yeah, big tip of the cap to Winfield Perez. Casey Mize, I think, is super fair to say he is on the side of things that went right. We talked about how the pitching really struggled this weekend. If any pitching didn't struggle, pretty much the only pitching that didn't struggle, I guess Tommy Kahnle too, was Casey Mize. 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. The 1 run was just a homer. His ERA is now down to 2.88 on the season. I thought he was phenomenal. I genuinely, this is like the outing I've been waiting for from him. Since coming back from the injured list. That first, whatever it was, month, he was so good. And then he went on the injured list. And since coming back, it's been not bad. It's just been inefficient. It's a lot of, lower innings pitch totals, some walks, not really getting a ton of strikeouts. This was like the stuff that we saw earlier in the year. And this was an outing that I think he can really be proud of and hang his hat on. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. The splitter was incredible. He hung 1 slider that got taken, 400 whatever feet. Outside of that, I thought he was really locked in with command as well. And I think he probably goes 6 strong. I know AJ talked in the post game about how he kind of had a shorter leash that inning for him anyway. Fair enough. But I think there's a real chance he goes 6 strong if it's not for the injury and getting removed there. So a great sign and much needed sign for a team that's pitching is slowly looking like it's, again, because I said at the start of the show, like some cracks there. Like it's not this unbelievable powerhouse that it was the first 4 or 6 weeks of the season. They're going to need some good pitching and some starting pitching depth, Job hurt, etc. So it's nice to see Mize have an outing like this. Let's stay on that topic. Stuff. Casey Mize pulled from the game. I mentioned the injury. Just a cramp. So take a deep breath. Exhale. Everything's okay. Just a cramp. Move for precautionary reasons. Nobody's concerned. Everything's okay. It was like 150 degrees down there. All is good. Also this weekend, Cater Montero sent to AAA. Dylan Smith stays with the team. We'll see what happens. I think this is more of a paper move. Probably isn't the right word because like Dylan Smith did pitch. Like it's not, just transactional. But I think Montero will still probably pitch for the Detroit Tigers very soon. I think they just wanted in the short term, they wanted bullpen help more so than they wanted him. And they have, Sawyer Gibson Long, who can be kind of like the piggyback guy and give you kind of bulk innings in a bullpen day. So we'll see. But I would anticipate Montero is probably back pretty soon. Reese Olson sounds like he's one outing away in AAA from a return, assuming that goes well. I need this like air. This is, again, under the same umbrella as what we just talked about. Like this is a starting pitching staff that is getting thinner and being, less productive than it was. They really need one of their best starters. I mean, there's an argument with the way, I don't even know if there is an argument with the way Flaherty has pitched this year. There's a real case to be made that Olson is the second best starter in this rotation. And obviously Mize has had a great year, but we just need more of a sample because of the injury. But I guess, Reese Olson injured too. So what am I talking about? But seriously, Reese Olson has been phenomenal this year. And I think that'll be another welcomed addition as well. So yeah, again, like this wasn't an awesome weekend. And I think that the pitching also isn't as bad as it looked this weekend. I think that's, again, just kind of a combination of games getting away from them and facing the buzzsaw that is the May, June, I guess more so June, Tampa Bay Rays at the moment. It was also 1 billion degrees and there was 87 rainouts still. It's just, they can't escape the rain. They really can't. So, yeah, the sky is not falling, as I say all the time, right? Like they still have the best record in baseball. They took it to the Rays on Sunday. They walk out of there with a win. This week, they play the Athletics and the Twins. Huge opportunity. We'll preview that game or that series, rather, the A's series on tomorrow's show. But that is a very winnable series. That is a team that got off to a decent start the first 4-ish weeks and then has kind of completely collapsed. I guess they've been kind of better the last week-ish, but Kurtz has 2 walk-off homers in the last 6 games for them. So we'll see, but that is a very winnable series. You're going to have the advantage. You'll have Scooble at some point that series as well, which is always a good thing. And then this weekend against Minnesota is pretty big, not in terms of Minnesota's on your tail necessarily, but anytime you play interdivision and you play a team in the Twins that is fighting for a wild card spot, you got to take care of business and make the lead in that division even wider. And then the Tigers flexed to Sunday Night Baseball on this upcoming Sunday, which is super exciting against the Twins. So thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow for an off day. We'll go a little bit more in depth on some things and talk about some stuff in the minor leagues that's happening as well. After you make us your first listen, go check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. And I'll catch you all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.